So you've got a Supreme Court ruling over here, tensions in the Middle East over there, and this massive debate about AI. Seems like a random collection of headlines, right? Well, they're not. There's a single powerful story happening right under the surface, and today we're going to pull on that one thread that connects everything.
So what's the big theme today? It's all about one word: change. Seriously, it's the engine driving everything we're about to talk about. So we're not just going to read off a list of headlines. Nope, we're going to follow this story of constant, non-stop motion as it weaves through our laws, our economy, and even our culture.
All right, first up, let's talk about the shifting tides of power. Think of these as the huge structural forces. You know, the stuff happening in courtrooms, on the global stage, that are basically reshaping the world as we know it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty seismic shift coming out of the Supreme Court. They just put a major limit on the president's power to slap on these big trade tariffs all on their own. Essentially, they said, hey, Congress needs to have a say in this. And trust me, this isn't just some dry legal headline. It's a huge rebalancing of power that can actually affect everything from how countries deal with each other to the price you pay for things at the store.
And what we're seeing here, it's a textbook example of something called checks and balances. You know, it's that idea that the courts can limit the president and Congress can limit them both. It's this foundational concept playing out right in front of us, and it's a great reminder that our economic policy is always shaped by this constant push and pull between the different branches of government.
Now that same theme of shifting power isn't just happening at home. It's playing out on the global stage too. Right now, tensions between the US and Iran are really high. Diplomatic talks have pretty much stalled, and you can bet that any move, either way, could send some serious ripples across the world, especially when you start talking about oil prices. It's no wonder the financial markets are glued to this situation, watching every single development.
Okay, let's switch gears to the kind of change being driven by technology. And wow, is the debate around artificial intelligence at a fever pitch. It really is a tale of two sides. On one hand, you have this incredible game-changing innovation that's boosting productivity for businesses. But on the other hand, you've got some really serious concerns about things like privacy, jobs getting displaced, and all the misinformation. It all boils down to this one massive question. How in the world do we regulate something this powerful without stomping out all the progress?
All right, so we've been talking about these big, high-level shifts. Now let's bring it all down to earth, right into your wallet and your job. How does all this change actually show up in your day-to-day life? This is the stuff that really hits home, impacting your money and your career.
So let's start with some good news, shall we? The job market is actually holding pretty steady. But here's the key. You have to look at where the growth is happening. All the momentum, all the energy, it's in these future-focused areas. We're talking about tech, healthcare, and renewable energy, the sectors that are literally building what comes next.
But, and there's always a but, isn't there, that steady job growth is running into some pretty serious headwinds. We've got this lingering inflation that just won't seem to go away, plus that trade uncertainty we just talked about. All of that is making investors really nervous. And for you and me, well, that translates to feeling the pinch on basically everything, from what you pay for groceries to the wild housing market.
And this right here captures another huge shift that's happening, the whole debate over the future of work. It is a full-on tug-of-war, isn't it? On one side, you have employees who are pushing hard for more flexibility. On the other, you have companies trying to figure out how to keep that in-office culture and collaboration alive. This isn't just a little debate. It's like a quiet revolution that is completely changing American business as we know it.
Okay, let's move away from the economy for a minute and check the nation's cultural pulse. What are people talking about around the dinner table? What are we celebrating? What's on our minds? This is the stuff that really reflects the mood of the country. So, with the country's 250th anniversary coming up, there's this really interesting debate brewing about patriotic programming in the media. And boy, is the country split. It's almost right down the middle. For a lot of people, this is a great chance for a unifying celebration. But for others, there's a real concern that it could get in the way of editorial independence. Two very different ways of looking at it. But hey, sometimes the cultural pulse is just perfectly in sync. And that's exactly what happened with Team USA. They just secured back-to-back Olympic gold medals, an absolutely incredible performance. You know, these are the kinds of moments that just cut through all the noise and division and give everyone this powerful shared sense of excitement.
And finally, let's talk about a different kind of cultural conversation, one that comes from nature itself. There were reports of some minor earthquakes in a few places. Now, thankfully, no major damage or anything like that, but these little rumbles act as a really important reminder, right? It gets communities talking and thinking about being prepared, just in case. Okay, so we've looked at the courts, the economy, cultural moments, a little bit of everything. And on the surface, they all seem totally separate, but as we said at the start, they're not. So now let's do it. Let's connect all the dots.
If you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this: everything is connected. It's so easy to see each headline as its own little story, in its own little box. But the real aha moment comes when you start to see that web of connections between them. Really, nothing happens in a vacuum.
Let's make this super concrete. Remember that Supreme Court ruling on trade tariffs? That can literally impact the price of the phone you're holding. That whole debate about AI? That is going to shape the job market your kids will be entering. And those global tensions we talked about? Yeah, those can directly influence the value of your retirement savings. See? It's all connected.
And that is why seeing these connections is so important. Look, the goal isn't to get overwhelmed or anxious about every single headline. It's just about being informed. When you can see the bigger picture, you're just so much better prepared to navigate this world that is, let's face it, always in motion.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. In a world that is just defined by constant change, what does it really mean to be thoughtfully informed? Because at the end of the day, real understanding isn't just about knowing what happened. It's about getting why it matters.